protecting my father's mission. We don't quit.
Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here.
Oh man, this is awesome. That power. Oh my goodness, what a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
My castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown. New season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's taunt skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount.
Everything you are, everything you've done has come to this.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Every strike is a frame. Every rivalry, a story.
Anything worth having is worth fighting for.
Ready or not, here I come. You can have. Let's go!
This canvas is more than a stage.
Are you not entertained?
It's where stories, where worlds collide, where legends are made. It's on, the new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
Paris Saint-Germain have won the Champions League. It's a really special moment.
Step inside the frame and feel every match, every goal,
Truly remarkable.
every moment of the world's best soccer.
Shakespearean drama, that's all you can say.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
We've got breaking news out of college football where Ole Miss's Lane Kiffin has announced he is leaving Oxford to become the next head coach of the LSU Tigers. The news comes 2 days after he led the Rebels to their first 11-win regular season in program history and are all but assured a spot in the college football playoff. Kiffin, despite requesting to do so, will not be coaching Ole Miss in the CFP. Our Matt Zenitz and Brandon Marcello report that defensive coordinator Pete Golding will be named the next head coach of the Rebels. He'll take the reins starting with the college football playoff. Kiffin will take over an LSU program that fired Brian Kelly back in October in the middle of his fourth season in Baton Rouge. The Tigers have not made the CFP since winning a national title back in 2019. Let's bring on Brandon Marcello. And Brandon, this seems to have dragged on a little bit longer than what we were anticipating. So how did we get here?
Yeah, a lot of red tape. I think Lane Kiffin's been dragging Ole Miss through red tape. There's been a lot of discussions in the background about, I want to coach in the college football playoff. Will Ole Miss allow me? Because he's going to a rival program in the SEC. He's going to be recruiting against them. He's going to be coaching against them. So how do you allow that to happen? You really just can't. And that was the argument that was being had between Kiffin and also Ole Miss. Also the question of, which staff members are you going to be able to leave here for us to push through a college football playoff here? There are discussions there about that, especially with his offensive staff. Lane Kiffin, obviously an offensive-minded coach and someone who wants to bring some of his close buddies with him down to Baton Rouge so they can hit the ground running there and start recruiting and also figuring out what they're going to do in the transfer portal. So a lot of red tape, a lot of discussions being had there, including the chancellor of the university there on on Saturday, and then also continuing into Sunday morning. We've had delay after delay after delay, but we have finally reached a resolution. Lane Kiffin is headed to LSU.
And this got a lot more contentious than we believed that the breakup could potentially be. I know the calendar has a lot to do with this, but ultimately, what does this do for Lane Kiffin's legacy at Ole Miss, a place that he brought to historic heights?
Yeah, he went from a coach who could very well have had a statue built of him in Oxford to a guy who's going to be the absolute villain there until he leaves LSU and maybe even years beyond that. He's completely ruined his legacy. They'll appreciate what he did for them, but they'll always see him as the guy of what could have been. Why would you leave such a situation where you won 10 games, 3 straight seasons? You had a chance to win, not just contend, win a national championship. You're in the playoffs, buddy. And you decided, nah, I'm going to go start fresh. And this is a continued trend for Lane Kiffin. I know the big thing and the storyline for him the last 2 years is how he's turned his life around, and that's great. But he's the same coach in the way he handles things as far as when he leaves programs. He left Tennessee in the middle of the night after a year to go to USC and held a weird impromptu press conference, if you remember that. I'm sure you do, Emily.
I do.
But then he went to USC and got fired pretty much right after a game. In that situation, when he was at Alabama and got his second chance in college football with Nick Saban to rehabilitate his image, he took the head coaching job at FAU, which is fine, but his concentration was so lacking. Nick Saban told him, you have to leave now. You cannot help us coach to the playoffs. This isn't working. So he left for FAU. Then he goes to Ole Miss, does this situation. And let's not forget, 3 years ago, he was flirting with Auburn for 3 straight weeks, and it hurt Ole Miss in the record book. They started losing games, and their season went south. He ended up staying at Ole Miss. The common trend, you can't change his colors, and he's the same exact guy he's always been when it comes to moving upward or downward or sideways in his coaching career.
And unfortunately, amid this saga, where does it leave the players, I think, is the question that we're asking here. In the statement that Lane Kiffin released, he said he asked Keith Carter if he could continue to coach them. Also said the team asked if he could continue to coach. So what is the sentiment among players now that they turn to Pete Golding as their new coach?
I'm sure they're going to embrace him. What will be fascinating to watch is if there might even be any players who try to opt out before the playoffs. I think, obviously, that's going to be a discussion point, but I don't see how that can happen. These players have worked so hard through the season, and whether Lane Kiffin's your head coach or not, it doesn't matter if I'm the head coach or anybody off the street's head coach. You work so hard for this. Go earn yourself a national championship. Go play for it. I just don't see those kids doing that and opting out. I think they'll wait till January. They're going to finish this season. It's a whole other discussion about whether the head coach should finish the season. If Lane Kiffin was going to the NFL, or if Lane Kiffin was even, say, going to a Penn State or something like that, outside the conference, outside the confines of your recruiting footprint, maybe there's a discussion to be had. But you're talking about a school that is right down the road in Baton Rouge where you play them every year for a trophy in the Magnolia Bowl. You can't do that. And for Lane Kiffin to try to convince himself otherwise is just silly and speak right now. And certainly maybe an argument that could be had among their lawyers and everything if they ever want to go down that route.
Certainly no reason for players to leave at this point with the transfer portal opening, but it does open before the college football playoff semifinals and championships, so we may revisit this conversation down the line. Brandon, you look at just how contentious that this got down the stretch, but ultimately now they do turn their attention to Pete Golding, who is not just expected to be the interim head coach, but the permanent head coach for Ole Miss. What should the playoff committee do with Ole Miss as they enter the postseason now with a new head coach?
This is the smartest move for Ole Miss to make, because the argument was going to be, how much do you dock an Ole Miss team that just lost head coach? You even saw Vegas putting out lines of what the line would look like with Lane Kiffin against a certain team, and a line if Lane Kiffin wasn't the head coach. Now you have a guy that's not just your interim coach, but is going be there for the long haul. So whatever philosophy, whatever ways he does about preparing for the playoff and his game preparations is exactly what this program is going to be in the future. They're not going to be in turmoil behind the scenes. You're not going to have players wondering who is going to be my next head coach. That's not the case now. They can all focus on what's ahead. They have their head coach for now and in the future. I think that'll send a clear message to the College Football Playoff Committee. And if they do dock them a spot or two, I don't think it'll be enough, obviously, to knock them out of the playoff, like as some may be saying out there. That's just not the case. And in my eyes, Ole Miss, the players on the field, are the ones who win the games. Coaches lose games. Players win games. These players won 11 games. They've only lost one. They deserve to host a playoff game there in Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah, despite all of this, it has been a fantastic story. Ole Miss winning 11 games in the regular season for the first time in school history and all but assured a spot in the CFP. Brandon Marcello, appreciate you breaking down that breaking news. This is the official tweet from Lane Kiffin saying after a lot of prayer and time spent with family, he's made the difficult decision to accept the head coaching position at LSU. We'll have more from Glenn West, who is live from Baton Rouge for us next here on HQ.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
No. That is a rookie mistake.
Of strangers. But you can't always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Mommy was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman, new season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount Plus.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission. We don't quit.
Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?
Can you handle it?
The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here.
Oh man, this is awesome. That power. Oh my goodness. What a performance.
Warden, take my brother Kyle and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown, new season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's taunt skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
We've got breaking news out of college football where Ole Miss's Lane Kiffin has announced he is leaving Oxford to become the next head coach of the LSU Tigers. The news comes 2 days after he led the Rebels to their first 11-win regular season in program history and are all but assured a spot in the college football playoff. Kiffin, despite requesting to do so, will not be coaching Ole Miss in the CFP. Our Matt Zenitz and Brandon Marcello report that defensive coordinator Pete Golding will be named the next head coach of the Rebels. He'll take the reins starting with the college football playoff. Kiffin will take over an LSU program that fired Brian Kelly back in October in the middle of his 4th season in Baton Rouge. The Tigers have not made the college football playoff since winning a national title back in 2019. Lane Kiffin releasing a statement today on X saying, quote, "After a lot of prayer and time spent with family, I made the difficult decision to accept the head coaching position at LSU. I was hoping to complete a historic 6-season run with this year's team by leading Ole Miss through the playoffs. My request to do so was denied by Keith Carter, despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them." Let's bring on Glenn West from Go 24/7 from Baton Rouge. Glenn, we've been talking so much about the Ole Miss side of things. We've been at the facility. We've been seeing pictures and tweets and everything coming from there. But from the LSU side of things, how did we get here today with Lane Kiffin now the head coach?
It's been a pretty long, winding road for LSU to get to this point. I mean, a month ago, you were talking about them relieving Brian Kelly of his head coaching duties, and then athletic director Scott Woodward came shortly after that. And there was just a lot of alignment and a lot of steps that needed to be taken along the way for LSU to get to this point. But a couple weeks ago, they really zeroed in on Lane Kiffin as being their #1 guy, their #1 target. I think it was one of the worst kept secrets out there that LSU really wanted him and were willing to go all in on him. And they're willing to commit a lot to him. They're going to give him a massive contract here that makes him one of the highest paid head coaches in the country. They're going to give him the NIL resources to make this a competitive roster sooner than later. And I think from just when you watch this team this last year from an LSU perspective, the one thing they have to do very, very quickly is to address the offensive side of the ball and really get a massive regroup there on that side. And there really is no better person or no better coach out there to do that than Lane Kiffin. So really a big swing home run kind of hire for LSU. And I think most in Baton Rouge are ecstatic that this finally got over the finish line.
Yeah, I'm curious, what was LSU doing while all of this chaos was going on? Would they have been okay with him sticking with Ole Miss through the playoff?
From everything we understand, they absolutely were. Now, I think it probably would have had to come with some contingencies that, hey, yeah, Lane, you're definitely coming, right? So, I think that's, that was probably going to be some conversations that had to be had. But from what we understand, LSU was okay with Lane Kiffin continuing to coach this Ole Miss team into the college football playoff. Obviously, it's a historic season that the Rebels are off to. And now not only Lane Kiffin, but, from what we understand, several of his offensive coaches could be coming with them here and being introduced as early as Monday. So this is a really big turnaround here for LSU and certainly for Ole Miss, but it's one that's been in the works for a little while.
And Glenn, you have a great pulse on what Tigers fans are feeling right now. How are they feeling based on just the way that this played out? They got their guy, yeah, but it was not easy.
Yeah, I think just some excited relief. I mean, I think they're just excited now that this has gotten, this has, been put to bed, and they have their guy, and they know now for the next month how they can go about building their roster and having a great future here at LSU. But there's no doubt. I mean, for 2 weeks on our message boards at Go 24/7, it was just a lot of, man, when is this going to happen? When is this coming? Is this coming? And I think really Friday and into Saturday, it really became pretty crystal clear that LSU was going to be the option for Lane Kiffin here. And I think LSU fans and supporters and boosters and donors are ecstatic that they were able to get this over the finish line and introduce Kiffin now here on Monday.
Yeah, I know that fans, of course, are going to be nervous until something is official. You said got over the finish line. Just to clarify, has anything been signed? Is this officially over the finish line?
Well, he's on his way. I mean, they've sent the planes out for him. They've got him, in their grafts, and I think he's made that official statement now that he's, coming to Baton Rouge. And so, I guess you can leave open that 0.01% that hasn't been signed yet. But when he's at the podium tomorrow, I think a lot of fans, you can definitely breathe a sigh of relief that this is getting done. And I think LSU is in a great position here to finalize things and cross those those T's and dot those I's, and have Lane Kiffin as their future head coach here going forward.
Yeah, and Glenn, as we were speaking, LSU did officially announce the news that Lane Kiffin is their next head coach. We know you will be all over what comes next, including that press conference introducing him on Monday. We appreciate your coverage of this, and boy, expectations are of course going to be high for LSU, because before Brian Kelly, the last 3 head coaches all won national championships there, so it's a good thing they've got a winner coming in. Lane Kiffin with 55 victories as Ole Miss's head coach. That is 3rd on the list of most wins in Ole Miss history. We've got more coverage from Lane Kiffin, the next LSU head coach, next year on HQ.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Monty was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman, new season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount Plus.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission. We don't quit.
Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it? The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here.
Oh man, this is awesome. The power. Oh my goodness, what a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want fans to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown, new season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's taunt skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Breaking news out of college football. Ole Miss's Lane Kiffin has announced he is leaving Oxford to become the next head coach of the LSU Tigers. The news comes 2 days after he led the Rebels to their first 11-win regular season in program history and are all but assured a spot in the college football playoff. Kiffin, despite requesting to do so, will not be coaching Ole Miss in the CFP. Our Matt Zenitz and Brandon Marcello report that defensive coordinator Pete Golding will be named the next head coach of the Rebels. He will take the reins, starting with the college football playoff. Welcoming on Brad Crawford remotely and Damian Harris here in studio. And Damian, I want to start with you because this is your old offensive coordinator at Alabama. You were there when Lane Kiffin left in the middle of a national championship run to take the job at FAU. So what is your reaction to how this all played out?
Well, I can't say that I'm surprised by any of it. First of all, I'm not surprised that he's leaving. I'm not surprised at the spectacle that's been made of it. I'm not surprised that the breakup between Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss has gotten a little messy and just quite frankly a little bit ugly. publicly. I'm not surprised by any of it because this is Lane Kiffin. Whether you love him, whether you hate him, you have to just respect that Lane is going to be Lane. So he saw a better opportunity at LSU. He thinks that that's a better place to recruit. He said that it wasn't about money. Where could he go and get the best talent and have the best chance to recruit and get the right players to compete for a national championship? And if he felt that LSU was the better place to do that, I don't fault him at all for making that decision. There are some other things that I don't necessarily have to get into that I may not agree with, but at the end of the day, him leaving, taking the head coaching job at LSU, and the fact that he will not be coaching Ole Miss for the rest of the season, I think that that is the best situation for both parties, for Lane Kiffin and for the University of Ole Miss.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin does not care about legacy. He can say what he wants in this public statement and try to pin this on AD Keith Carter, but you can't let the coach of a rival program lead the group that he just left this close to signing day and the portal opening. I mean, to me, it's like breaking up with your prom date a week before the dance. You don't just go with her anyway, right? It's over and it's time to move on. So, I mean, I commend Ole Miss for acting quickly and promoting Pete Golding, as CBS Sports reports. And to me, this precludes the playoff selection committee from damaging the Rebels' hopes of maybe getting a lower seed in the bracket and missing out on a first-round home game. I think it kind of stops the hemorrhaging in a way. So Lane Kiffin going to LSU is no surprise to many of us within this industry. But that being said, I like the fact that Ole Miss also moved swiftly, promoted Pete Golding, and told Lane Kiffin, hit the road, man. You're not going to coach us for 4 more weeks in the playoff.
Yeah, and Brad, you mentioned it. This is not just an SEC rival. I mean, they play the Magnolia Bowl, which has been played 114 times. So it will be played next year, by the way. I just feel the need to point that out. But Brad, I have some, I guess, technical questions. There's, reports that Lane Kiffin is potentially going to bring some of his staff members with him to LSU. I understand the head coach needing to leave and the prom date and everything with that. But why do other staff members have to leave right now with him?
I mean, apparently Lane Kiffin reportedly told most of his offensive staff, either you get on this plane with me this afternoon to Baton Rouge, or I'm going to leave you in Oxford and you're not joining my staff. So I don't think a lot of those staffers, at least a few of them reportedly, didn't sort of like that ultimatum that Lane Kiffin gave them. And now Ole Miss Spirit's reporting that, obviously Ole Miss has ponied up and is trying to keep some of this offensive staff in Oxford for not only this playoff run coming up, but for 2026 and beyond to join Pete Golding. So if I'm Pete Golding, I'm trying to, as quickly as I can, assemble this staff around me. Obviously, Pete Golding was Ole Miss's defensive coordinator these last couple of years. Keep the brain trust beyond Lane Kiffin as complete as you can while he takes the job at LSU. I think Ole Miss is obviously running 1,000 miles an hour right now, but they're doing the best that they can after Lane Kiffin just left them at the playoff altar.
I am not the right person to comment on this. Being a Tennessee fan, born and raised in Knoxville, Tennessee, his reputation is what it is there. But nationally, what has this saga done for Lane Kiffin's reputation?
Oh, wow. That is a question in itself right there. Yeah, now you came off the top ropes from the Raptors with that one. I mean, I'm just gonna go back to what I said earlier. Whether you love Lane Kiffin or you don't like Lane Kiffin, you have to respect the fact that he is 100% originally Lane Kiffin. With decisions like this, with the attention that he's brought himself, obviously it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I'm sure it's even rubbed some of the players the wrong way. I mean, that's probably the most important piece that we keep skipping over is the players. Like, this is so, the taking the attention away from an Ole Miss team who is in the best position that they've been in a very long time, competing for potentially a national championship, and you tell somebody, just focus on you. It's not about the players right now. We're going to figure out the coaching situation, all that. What about the players? What about the players? Well, I would be so interested to be a fly on the wall in that locker room with no coaches around, just to hear the chatter, just to hear what's going on, what the thought process is. And I even want to go back to something else, something that Brad was just talking about in terms of Lane Kiffin leaving and then giving his assistant coaches an ultimatum. If you can put out a statement and say that you would have loved to have stayed and completed the mission that Ole Miss has set out on, and you want to be a part of coaching these kids to help them get to where they want to get to, if you can't do that, why can't the assistant coaches? Because they're just as much of a part of this equation as you are, as the players are. This is a team. This is supposed to be a bunch of individuals that are out of themselves and into one particular thing, one particular common goal. And just because they told you that you can't stay because you're not the head coach anymore. You've said that. You said you don't want to be here anymore. You want to go to Louisiana, you want to go to Baton Rouge, that's fine. Well, these offensive coaches that still have relationships with these players, some of these players went and committed to Ole Miss because of the relationship with their position coaches, but now you're stripping the players away from that relational piece, that familiarity that they have. I just think that's a little bit backwards, right? That has to be thought of as backwards.
Yeah, I mean, the players are kind of the piece of this that's lost a little bit, just because from the standpoint of they've been in limbo for weeks now, but they've continued to win football games. I will say, per our John Talty, that he's outside the facility and he heard cheers from players when they heard that Pete Golding would be announced as not just the interim, but the permanent head coach. So, Brad, what's your thoughts on what this does to just the psyche of Ole Miss as they go through a historic season and through now what is the first time in school history a college football playoff?
Yeah, if I'm one of those veteran players inside that locker room in Oxford, I mean, this is where true leadership is shown. Guys like Chambliss and Kewan Lacey, two of the SEC's best offensive players this season. As long as you have that nucleus stay, why do you need Lane Kiffin to go win a playoff game when you've got Pete Golding and some other staffers staying? You know, I sort of harken this day back to when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma for USC a couple years ago for a raise and what he considered a higher prestige job there in Los Angeles. He's not welcome back in Norman anytime soon. And I'm not sure Lane Kiffin's going to be well received when LSU goes to Oxford next season.
Yeah, our John Talty now has moved from the facility to the airport where a private plane from Baton Rouge has arrived. And let me tell you, there are some Ole Miss fans there to send them off right, I'm sure, but this is the SEC and this is what we love. As it pertains to the players, though, you mentioned the connection with position coaches. Some might have a connection with Lane Kiffin. Brad, what do you anticipate as far as player movement from Ole Miss to LSU?
Yeah, I think the biggest disadvantage that the Rebels players specifically are going to have in the playoff is Lane Kiffin's not going to be that primary play caller. We've seen him dial it up a bunch this season for Trinidad Chambliss, who has set single-season program records after transferring from Division II Ferris State. Chambliss obviously has a year of eligibility left. I think he would be a hot target for LSU, potentially QB1 there in Baton Rouge next year. You have to look at some of the playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. How many of those guys are going to stay with Pete Golding versus join that defense and new staff that Lane Kiffin's going to put together at another SEC program? So Lane Kiffin's going to try to pick and choose, I'm sure, some of his favorite players that he has coached these last couple of years in Oxford. But also, I mean, LSU has given him essentially endless resources. Of course, we saw how that worked for Brian Kelly. He got fired this cycle after LSU went all in the portal.
Let me put it into perspective. Like, I'm going to give some insight to what a kid like Trinidad Chambliss has the opportunity to do. So imagine you've got that relationship with Lane Kiffin, and you do want to go and join Lane Kiffin down in Baton Rouge. You want to be that quarterback. You still get to play for Ole Miss, potentially win a national championship. Then you get to leave, transfer with no penalty. You become quarterback one at LSU. All meanwhile, all those resources, all those things that LSU has promised Lane Kiffin in terms of recruiting, NIL, guess what? Trinidad Chambliss, you get a big old bag to stay with your head coach and go to LSU. Like, that's why this is so, it's just such a mishmash, right? Yeah. And like, is that a fair opportunity for a kid? Potentially. Like, that might be, it might not necessarily teach him the proper lessons. It might not teach them loyalty or whatever. But if you're in favor for these kids putting themselves in the best position and be successful for themselves, their families, their careers, then yeah, that's a beautiful opportunity for Trinidad Chambliss. You get to finish with the staff that you originally started with. It might not be Lane Kiffin, but hopefully they can retain a good bit of that offensive staff. You get to promise Lane Kiffin, I'm going to be your guy. Okay, go win a national championship. You do that. You're on the first plane to Baton Rouge with a hefty NIL bag just sitting right at the door waiting for you to come in.
There might be one of those bags waiting for him in Oxford as well.
True.
I will say, though, Trinidad Chambliss, you call him a kid. He is a full-blown
grown man.
adult here. He's played a lot of football.
He's
had to apply for a waiver from the NCAA to play for another season in 2026. That has not been approved yet, so not sure if he'll be playing more football or where he will be playing more football. But I'm so glad you're here. You're a wealth of knowledge when it comes to these coaches. Pete Golding now steps in as the permanent head coach. You played on the offensive side of the ball, but he was part of that Kiffin, or part of the Nick Saban staff while you were there. What can you tell us about him?
Man, he's a fiery, energetic guy that resonates with his players in a way that I haven't experienced with a lot of coaches. I mean, he is amped up. He brings the juice. He brings the energy. Like I would remember times where we would be in period 1 or period 2, which is individual, right? So it's running back drills. We're over here doing something. Linebackers are all the way across the field. And all of a sudden, somebody just comes and punches the ball out while I'm standing here in between the drill. And I look over, and it's Pete Golding. I'm like, you're supposed to be somewhere else. He's like, nah, you got to be ready at all times. And so, like, you know, that's a playful way to remind a player, like, you always got to be on your P's and Q's. If you're a running back carrying the ball, always keep that thing high and tight. And he does it in a way that, like I said, it's relatable. He's so relatable to these players. And we heard there were cheers for Pete Golding becoming the interim head coach. And I think that speaks volumes to the trust that these players have, to the commitment that they're going to still give throughout the rest of this playoff push that they're going for. I think there are a lot of players in that locker room that are happy that Pete Golding, one, they're happy that this Lane Kiffin saga is just finally over. Whether he's the head coach at Ole Miss or LSU, they're glad it's over because now the attention can go back to them, the players, in their quest for a national championship. But I guarantee you there is a very large percentage of guys in that locker room that love Pete Golding and are ready to go for war for him for the rest of this season.
All right, Damien, I gave you the tough question earlier, so let's end on a tough question for Brad. How about tell me who is in a better position today, LSU or Ole Miss?
I think it's Ole Miss because Ole Miss is going to play in the playoff here in a couple of weeks. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, LSU has not gotten to the playoff under its previous regime, Brian Kelly, despite going all in the transfer portal, like I mentioned. They've won 10 games 3 out of 4 seasons and just have not got there since winning the national championship in 2019. Then you have Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin, I will say this, he left the program on much better footing than where he found it. Ole Miss is a legitimate factor in the transfer portal. The Rebels can spend money like other elite programs can. They have shown that. Obviously, Pete Golding is going to have to assemble an offensive staff looking at, you know, who remains and who he's got to hire after this playoff run and that sort of thing. But Ole Miss is going to look a lot different in 2026, but I would not sell all my stock on them as a annual playoff contender as long as the offense can still move the football and they have that rugged mentality that Pete Golding is going to bring on the other side.
Yeah, I agree with Brad. I think Ole Miss is in a much better position, and it's so ironic because it's due to Lane Kiffin and his success, right? He has built Ole Miss to be a program that now truly rivals LSU, not in terms of like history or anything like that. We're talking about on the field play. Ole Miss has moved up the SEC hierarchy to contend with the LSUs of the world because of Lane Kiffin. And now guess what? He's the head coach at LSU. Now, Brad, I just want to ask you something, right? Because this has been weighing on I saw something on Twitter, and like I'm going to give it some airtime. What if Ole Miss just happened to do the absolute unthinkable and give somebody that just happened to walk out of Baton Rouge a call and say, hey, we got a head coaching job open. Oh, Mr. Brian Kelly, are you interested? Like, do you have any interest whatsoever? Is there, like, just give me a reaction to that. I don't even know what the question is. Just give me a reaction.
I mean, if you're asking Brad Crawford here, I had Brian Kelly as a top 6 coach entering the season. So I've got a lot of stock in Brian Kelly. He's taken Notre Dame to the playoffs several times. I think he would have eventually gotten LSU there. Look, I mean, the Tigers had a lot of injuries this season, man. Garrett Nussmeier was a All-American candidate, hurt his knee during camp and was never the same player. They got better on defense, but they just couldn't move the ball. Had to replace 4 offensive linemen. Now it sounds like I'm like tooting the LSU horn as to why she was one of the biggest disappointments. But Brian Kelly's still an elite coach. There's a reason LSU gave him $100 million 4 years ago and have to owe him half of that now in this buyout. I think Brian Kelly will land on his feet. It's not going to be in Oxford, but he is going to win again somewhere in the Power Conference ranks.
Yeah, Ole Miss making the hire of Pete Golding official. Guys, thank you so much.
It's over. It's all over. We're done.
It's never over.
No,
this has been a wild and crazy day. Brad, Damien, I appreciate you. We are trying to keep up with all the news, and we will. We'll do it for you here on HQ. So all you got to do is tune in, because this graphic has changed multiple times today. Yeah, that's right. We started our day with Arkansas hiring Ryan Silverfield, then Auburn brought in Alex Golish, then Florida with Summerall, Ole Miss, Pete Golding, and the big one, Lane Kiffin, is headed to LSU. We've got more on the other side.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Monty was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman, new season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount Plus.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission. We don't quit.
Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
Would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it? The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount Plus.
It's so loud in here.
Oh man, this is awesome. That power. Oh my goodness. What a performance.
Warden, take care of my brother Kyle, and I'll take care of you.
This is my castle now. Do we understand each other?
I want your friends to be mine.
Mayor of Kingstown, new season now streaming on Paramount Plus.
You can't count on Derek's taunt skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
We've got breaking news out of college football, where Lane Kiffin has announced he is leaving Oxford to become the next head coach of the LSU Tigers. The news comes 2 days after he led the Rebels to their first 11-win regular season in program history and are all but assured a spot in the college football playoff. Kiffin, despite requesting to do so, will not be coaching Ole Miss in the CFP. Our Matt Zenitz and Brandon Marcello report that defensive coordinator Pete Golding will be named the next head coach of the Rebels. Ole Miss making that official, starting with the college football playoff for him. And Kiffin will take over an LSU program that fired Brian Kelly back in October in the middle of his 4th season in Baton Rouge. Let's welcome in Neil McCready of Rebels 24/7. And Neil, I know it's been a wild ride for you the last couple of weeks, but I want to ask you specifically about something that Lane Kiffin said in his statement, and that is that he asked Keith Carter to continue to coach Ole Miss during the playoff. The AD said no. The team also asking if he could stay on. Is that what you were hearing?
Parts of that are true. Lane absolutely wanted to stay on. I think Lane struggled with the idea that he couldn't be the LSU head coach and also coach Ole Miss for the next I guess what would be 20 to 50 days, depending on how far Ole Miss did or did not advance in the postseason. His comment about the players is probably minimally true and mostly false. Most of the players on that team, in fact, did not want him to stay if he was going to leave to be the head coach at LSU. There were some who supported him, but for the most part, what was made abundantly clear to Ole Miss officials this morning that that's not what the players wanted at all.
Yeah, what has the response been from the players' side of this as this continued to get more contentious and drag on longer?
Yeah, I mean, Emily, the response has been what you would expect the response to be from an 11-1 football team that's ranked. I haven't seen the new AP poll today. It's been a little busy afternoon, as you might imagine, but somewhere between 5 and 6, right, in the poll, and they're going to the playoffs. They only lost one game. It was at Georgia by one score. They were in the SEC championship game race until late last night in Auburn. So their reaction has been what you would expect, which is they've been furious with Lane. I think flabbergasted might be a better term, that they've done all that they've done and that he would leave to go to a rival that they defeated back in late September. I mean, it's been the response you would expect.
Yeah, now Pete Golding takes over. So what has the response been from players on this hire?
It's awfully early, but they like him a lot. Very popular person among the team. I think you go from having a guy who wanted to leave to a guy who desperately wanted the job and wants to stay and wants to be in Oxford. And so at least in the immediate emotional aftermath of, their coach leaving them at the altar, I think they're super excited that Pete Golding stayed. And almost as importantly, Pete was able to retain the overwhelming majority of the staff to stay with them. And let's face it, those are the people that these guys spend as much time with over the course of the year and throughout practice, during the week and in meetings. They're with their position coaches. And the fact that their position coaches are all staying, that the coordinators are staying, that most of the support staff is going to stay at least through the playoffs, I think that's awfully comforting for them as they get ready to, compete for a national championship.
Yeah, you said it, but I just want to emphasize here, Neil, that there has been, rumors of offensive coaching staff following Lane Kiffin to Baton Rouge, some potential shakeups as it pertains to who they would bring into the college football playoff in terms of the coaching positions. But you are saying that for the most part, this staff will remain the same as they go into the CFP?
Yes, at least through the playoffs, this staff's going to remain the same, which was not. It did not appear to be the case, Emily, earlier this morning when it looked like Kiffin had given those guys an ultimatum saying, hey, if you're not on the plane with me at 2 o'clock, you don't have a job in Baton Rouge. And these are all people with families, and, you've got bills to pay, and it's 4 weeks before Christmas. And so, you don't want to go jump in the unemployment line. So I think a lot of what happened this morning was Ole Miss sort of scrambling to get that worked out so that the staff would stay, and they were able to announce that to the players at the team meeting this afternoon.
Very interesting, Neil. You have been all over it. Your Twitter account has been a constant refresh for me. I'm sure it has for people watching. So we appreciate all the tough work. Hopefully things a little bit slower now and you can go back to covering football. We do appreciate it. A reminder, too, that LSU is officially making it official. Lane Kiffin is the next head coach of the LSU Tigers. Calling Baton Rouge for Kiffin. And NFL action is getting started over on CBS. We've got Josh Allen and the Bills traveling to Pittsburgh to face Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in an AFC West showdown between the Raiders and Chargers in LA.
You can't count on accurate expiration dates.
That is a rookie mistake.
Or the kindness of strangers. But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount+.
You think you understand how this business works, but you don't.
I now know why Monty was so stressed.
What's the plan here?
Landman, new season, streaming November 16th, only on Paramount+.
You need a hug?
You need a fist?
Crutch, crutch, crutch.
Crutch, crutch.
Crutch, you need anything.
I do have one question.
We didn't mean right now.
You
You talk to people, they don't see the badge. I talk to people, that's all they see.
I got worried you coming up here without an escort.
I can handle myself.
I'm going to spend the rest of my career protecting my father's mission. We don't quit.
Thank you.
That's what my dad would do.
Being on the road, I don't think it's a job. I think it's a calling.
In the Champions League, every picture tells a story, and every great story
would you believe this?
needs an audience.
It's a really special moment.
The UEFA Champions League, every goal, every game, live on Paramount Plus.
Someone at this law firm knew they were fueling an epidemic.
You come forward now, you're just a crazy old lady with no evidence.
You didn't see this coming, did you now?
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars. What a difference she has made.
The question is, can you handle it?